Hi, I am Allie Camilletti, and you are listening to Snack Leadership. I will be talking about everything leadership, broken down into bite-sized pieces. You will hear what different leadership skills look like in organizations and how they can rise teams up or take them down. I help leaders build resilience and improve performance by bringing awareness to opportunity behaviors in my business. Spark your mindset. I provide leadership and sales coaching, as well as team building and guest speaking. My hope is for you to feel inspiration and to create a spark in your mindset. Hi, everyone. Today we are talking about time management. Time management is the ability to use one's time effectively or productively, especially at work. Vaughn is the co-founder of Results Driven Leadership. He is a leadership development expert, podcaster, and author. His methods are brought from his real-world experience, working on the front lines, and living the role of being a high-impact leader and manager. His coaching and training programs offer no theory, just common sense advice and direction. He is a former executive with CarMax, the world's largest and most respected company in the auto industry. One of the reasons why I resonated so much with Vaughn and really wanted to interview him was his motto: no matter what business you're in the people business. Thank you so much, Vaughn. I'm so excited to talk about time management with you today.
Allie, it is one of my favorite topics, and thank you for having me on it.
Absolutely. All right, let's go deep, quick. What have you learned about yourself recently?
So, we're all emotional beings. We go through our highs and our lows. It's hard or difficult to stay at that mid-level, especially with even outside of work or business. You have influences going on, and it's your ability to gather all that, be aware of it, make it somewhat tangible, and then control what you can control. And it's very often that is the one thing that is most difficult for me personally, is embracing I can only control what I can control.
Ooh, do you have an example?
Every day. I'm kidding. So there's a situation where I have a close loved one who is having some health issues, and I'm somebody that makes things happen. I like to control things, and there are if there's a situation going on currently that getting the runaround from an insurance and doctors, and has a need right now to get something solved, and just the bureaucracy, et cetera, and just wanting to just grab somebody internally from the phone, rip their ears off, and just listen. This is the situation. But I have to catch myself knowing that I'm going to get more ants with sugar than I am with vinegar, and approaching it in a step-by-step method. Let's get this. What's the system? What's the approach? Let's stay on top of that.
I love it. It's such a good example. Oof. I could go
Yeah.
far with that, but we're going to let that be. And let's talk about when you first embodied this leadership skill of time management.
So it was north of 20 years ago. I was with CarMax at the time, and I had a regional trainer who was exceptional. And he approaches me and says, listen, I need to deliver a training on time management. I thought, wow, that sounds like a really good idea. About 15, 20 minutes. He says, no, it's all day. It's an all day training. All right. All right. Let's figure out how this is going to happen. And it was a very immersive day, 8 full hours of time management. It was taken out through all the detailed steps of where you're at, where you want to be, and how to get there. But you really need to understand where you are in order to get to where you want to go. And it was very revealing, your mistakes, your missteps. It uncovered a lot of your internal self-inflicted wounds that you're probably not even aware of. I became aware of a lot of things I'd never thought about that were time wasters,
Yeah.
distractions, disorganization. And once you're able to lay all that out, put it in writing, reorganize it, I was like, wow, this is the greatest. I'm like picking up 2 or 3 hours a day. This is amazing. And continue to teach that in my management training to promotions and new hires. And when I left the corporate world, began this business, I knew that was something that I had learned a lot from and benefited a lot from, and wanted to share it with others. It's when I do a seminar, it is my most popular seminar.
Ah, that is so cool.
Yeah.
So, what did you learn about yourself that really stood out when you were accepting that course and kind of taking it in?
Well, so before we started the podcast today, we talked about DISC. And
Yeah.
I'm a high DI, which means I'm not very structured. I can bounce all around, squirrel, squirrel,
Yep.
um, and understanding that I'm not going to be able to control my entire day, but I can control some of my day, and I can focus and be detailed in sprints, not all day. And so I learned the art of time blocking and making
Yes.
sure I prioritized. I blocked off the time during the course of the day at the right time of the day, scheduled it like a doctor's appointment, and then did not look at anything else other than that during that time period. And I get so much more done, and my priorities are also achieved.
And how are you when something happens and it derails that schedule? How do you handle that?
Well, you have to accept it. You know it's going to come. You know it's coming, right? It's the unexpected has got to be expected. And so you have to reschedule it. You do not skip it. You have to have the discipline to say, I'm going to take it out of that time slot and I'm going to put it into this time slot, or I'm going to put it in another. I talk about the Eisenhower box and, urgent and important, not urgent, except, et cetera. And most of the things I time block are things that are not urgent, but they're very important. And so I can easily put it in another day, but I'm very careful about putting it too close to the final hour, because I know that's when you cram, you crunch, you stress out, you may not
Yes.
deliver the quality you're looking for. So it's picking that next right time, but don't ever skip it. And thinking that at some point magically the time's going to drop in your lap, you can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I schedule everything. Everything. I'm a l- um mm, not neurotic, but it is just how I live.
Well, and in our type of business, Allie, I don't see how you can't. Now, when I first
Right?
started this business, I was a little slack about this,
Oh,
and again, I had to drink from my own medicine and realize here's why I'm running around forgetting things and being a little sloppy, and put into place. My calendar is my second best friend, and it drives my day. And I plan out every month, every day. I know exactly what I'm going to do, where I'm going to do it. And without that, I'm leaving it up to chance, and that's not a good friend.
do you color code your calendar?
Yes.
Talk to me about it.
All right. So blue is just a normal business. That's a coaching session. That's a training session. It's blue. Yellow is a one-off. That's a one-time. That's an interview. That's that sort of thing. Green is a prospect. Green for
Mm,
money, right? So
yeah.
that's a prospect. That's going to stand out on the calendar. So, and red is highly urgent. We must get this done right away. So, I'm looking. I'm determining my day. That red thing is generally in the beginning of the day. That's another thing about time management. You must schedule your most important things at the time you're going to be most productive. I'm an early riser. I'm very productive in the morning, so I'm making sure that these red things are put in at the proper time.
Love it. Yeah, very similar. I like that you go to the extent of your actual business because I'm more of prep work is green, right? And I am with you, like the visual of green, that's what really makes the money. And then blue is I'm on, right? And exercise is orange because
Mm,
I schedule my exercise because I don't want anything to get in the way of it,
that's smart.
right?
That's smart.
Yeah. And then purple is my pleasure as far as, I don't know, just other things. So I like that you take it to that extent, though, in your business of doing it that way. I think that's cool.
It keeps me on track.
What have you witnessed with other leaders that you're like, wow, you really have this time management down that you were impressed by?
Well, they live by their calendar.
Yeah.
They're great planners. They're
Yeah.
great planners. As soon as like a meeting ends, they respond to the group. What day and time are we going to do this? When are we going to follow up? Who's going to do what by when? Let's get it on the calendar. Send me an invite. Let's get things scheduled because that puts a clamp on that actually happening again. They
Totally.
never walk out of any kind of interaction that requires follow up without putting it on a calendar. It's
Love
crucial.
it. What have you experienced in organizations when a leader just really struggles in this area, and how does it affect the whole organization?
Well, there's a tremendous amount of firefighting. There's a tremendous amount of
Yeah,
goals not being achieved. There's a lot of ambiguity around who's what's expected of me and who's supposed to be doing what. There's a lot of finger pointing, like, "Oh, I thought you were going to do it. I thought let's do now." There's a lot of frustration. I must tell you, a leader's inability to time manage it, that bleeds down into the rest of their team. They feed off of that, which creates this turmoil within their team, which only exacerbates this whole situation. So that's it's very disorganized. It's very discouraging. It really erodes or undermines the leadership authority that somebody has because it they may know everything in the world, but those who are making things happen for them, their direct reports, they translate that into this person doesn't know what they're doing.
yep. So, in the situation, whether it be a founder, an owner, where this is not their skill set, not sure there's ever going to really master this skill set,
Mhm.
and it's a successful company, what do you do?
Well, it's baby steps. We got to crawl, walk, run. Let's find one thing that you can do. All right? Can we work on a prioritization for the next 90 days? Can we just what are we going to get done in the next 90 days? What are your major achievements that do it need to do short sprints. 90 days is about as much as it is. So let's break it down into 30-day increments, but 90 days. And then we start there. Let's just prioritize. Let's take that one little nugget of time management and get that down and talk about why that's a priority and the actions that need to be taking place in order to achieve that and some of the time limits around getting this accomplished in some way and then just unpacking all this that goes on in a founder or a business owner or a CEO's mind, because very often they keep everything right here.
Yep.
Let's get it on paper. It's something amazing about how you get something out of here. It travels down the neck, the arm, to the finger, to the pen or the pencil or the typewriter, and it goes in writing. And all of a sudden, a lot of that stress goes flowing out. And that's always such a win, Allie, because they get a magical adrenaline bump because, hey, this is working. I feel so much better. I feel so much more in control. And it's something as simple as let's just write down your priorities and let's put a
Right.
time limit on them.
Yep.
So we start there. Then, as they become more and more comfortable, they're getting the success of that, we start adding on, just layering it on.
Love it. So good. How about a mentor?
I was so fortunate in my career. I had some exceptional mentors, one of which I'm going to talk about today. I had some really bad bosses, but this one particular person, Ted Boswell, who I'm still very good friends with, almost 50 years later. Um, Ted took me when I was in my early 20s. I knew nothing about anything. I was way overjobbed. But I was willing to move to Jackson, Mississippi. So uh, I, I raised my hand. But he taught me so many of the fundamentals that I live by today, of which you quoted earlier. No matter what business we're in the people business. And if you live
Yes,
by that thought, that motto alone, and always remember that you can have the best product, you can have the best processes, but it's going to be the people are going to be the determining factor of your not only their success, the company's success, but primarily your success. You are reflected by the success of your people. Devote your energy and time into making them better. And if we've got to solve a lot of problems, we've got to do a lot of things, but it's always a people problem. It's almost always a people problem. So let's get really good at that, and everything else pretty much takes care of itself.
absolutely. Absolutely. And did you say his name,
Ted
your mentor?
Boswell.
Ted Boswell.
Yeah.
Love it. Mississippi.
He lives in Big Canoe, Georgia. So,
Nice. I love it. All right. How about a quote that you feel really embodies the skill of time management?
so it's a couple. There's a couple, but I'm going to say this one: control what you can control, and make a to do list. Stay on top of your to do list, and racing the thought being out of control on things, but stay focused on what you can control, release the other thoughts, and you're going to calm yourself, which will make you much more effective.
Yes. It's so true. You're making me think about just I have different spreadsheets that I use, right, for my different projects. And I don't know what I would do without those because it's like my brain dump
Hmm.
and that it holds all the information of what's happening when, what needs to be done by when, so that I can stay on track. And it is so nice to not have that all in my brain because it's just too much.
There was a time in my life that at 2 a.m. I was up.
Yeah.
I was thinking about all I had to do. I had I went so far as having a pad and a piece of paper and a pen next to my bed. I'd wake up. I'd write things down. I couldn't go back to sleep. That's the beauty of time management. If you really are diligent about here's what I've got to do, here's what I'm going to do it. I'm controlling what I can control. The other things become pretty minuscule.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything else you want to share before we go into what your favorite snack is?
So if you are frustrated, you're overworked, you're stressed out, understand that a big part of that is primarily because you're not managing your time effectively. You're letting everyone else manage you versus you manage them or manage your situation. Don't let your time or the situation manage you. You need to manage what you're paid to manage. And the single best way to do that is to get very good at prioritizing, knowing what's urgent, what's important, ignoring the time wasters, understanding what your time wasters are. That's a big part of what you need to discover is identify those time wasters, and they're always going to be there, but minimize those. Be aware of your long lunches or your paralysis by analysis, whatever tendency you have. Back to disc. Disc will tell you what your time wasters are. It's one of the most valuable tools to understanding yourself and others, but uh, being aware of those, avoiding those, make the main thing the main thing.
Love it. All right. What's your favorite snack?
Peanut M&Ms. It's
Oh,
the
right.
single best candy snack on the planet, and when I'm having a bad day or a bad time, I avoid sugar as much as I can, but that peanut M&M is the most comforting snack. It takes me back to my childhood. I'm pretty sure my mother used to give me those when I was having a bad day or hurt or sick, and it just soothes me.
That is so interesting that you're saying this and what it takes you back to, because I was wondering the same thing as I was binging these amazing peanut butter. Well, they are, right, the M&Ms, but they're not M&Ms because I have all these gluten allergies and stuff
Yeah.
and dairy
Yeah.
allergies, right? So it's an offshoot, and they are the chocolate covered peanuts. And I'm like, what is it that makes me not want to stop eating these? Is it the crunch? Is it the sweet? And as you're saying it, it's my grandfather. It's absolutely my
From again.
grandfather.
Really?
That's what it takes me back to. Thank you. Maybe
You're
now I
welcome.
won't binge the whole bag when I have it because I miss him so much. I'll be able to put it in perspective and be like, just enjoy it for the moment, Ellie. You don't have to have the whole bag.
That's the hard part, right? There's always
Oh,
room.
Vaughn, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so
My
much for
pleasure.
today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on today.
Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in to Snack Leadership. I hope you felt inspiration, motivation, and felt your mindset spark. Snack Leadership is recorded and produced by myself, Ali Camilletti, and music by Shireen Amini.